Let's talk about Xbox. There's a lot of players out there that have got an Xbox or are looking to pick up an Xbox Series X or S this holiday season, or maybe you've already got one and you're going to gift it to somebody, which makes you an extremely generous person. And I wanted to put together a bunch of ideas for Xbox players out there, but Xbox is weird, man. Xbox is weird, and I'm looking at you, Phil Spencer. I was putting in the titles on the graphics that I put together for this piece, and it's like, well, is Xbox One or Xbox One X, One S, Series X, and they all play the game. They all play the same games, which is nuts. And you can call that a problem with the Series X and the Series S because there's no Halo Infinite and there's no exclusive for this platform. I don't even think Halo Infinite was going to be exclusive, right? It was going to be playable right on back to the classic Xbox One, which came out in 2013. So I just said Xbox. And the other thing, of course, is that Xbox is all about backwards compatibility. So you could actually play original Xbox games very well on an Xbox Series X or One X or One S. It's all very confusing. So I've tried to simplify this whole segment and call it just Xbox. But the other thing that makes it confusing, and I was almost thinking tongue-in-cheek that this is what I should just do. I should just come out and say, oh, you've got an Xbox player you want to get a gift for this year. Game Pass. Good night. Because that's kind of all you need to do. You just need to get somebody Game Pass, and they've got dozens of games to play for forever and ever, right? And Xbox is constantly changing up the library. They just added the EA Play stuff in there. So there are tons of games. And so step one, if you're buying something for an Xbox player out there, get them Xbox Game Pass. It's filled with all of the first party that Microsoft spends money on. So Sea of Thieves and Flight Simulator and Gears of War and Minecraft stuff. It has so many games. It'll take you forever to play everything. Yakuza games, No Man's Sky, Destiny, and then Final Fantasy. And they've added all of classic EA games like Fight Night Champion. You can also play the Game Pass stuff on a PC. You just have to log into your account, and I think it works the same way with xCloud. So if you've got the Xbox, I haven't tried this yet, but if you've got the Xbox account on your phone or whatever, you can log in and you can stream your games. I think that's all part of Game Pass, if I'm not mistaken. But it is unquestionably the best deal in video games. And if you want to be a very generous and very smart and also very savvy gift giver for an Xbox player out there, hook them up with Game Pass and they're going to be fine. Now, of course, I also wanted to do what I did with Nintendo and with PlayStation. I created a list of 5 essentials, kind of my first 5, but I think every one of these is part of Game Pass. But let's take a look at 5 essential games that I would say would be perfect for Xbox One. I think Xbox One plays all of these. Xbox One X and One S, I think, for sure do, and Series S and X do as well. But let's take a look at these right now. These are essential games for Xbox. Number 5, Titanfall 2, which I have looked at on the Series X, and it is spectacular. It literally took my breath away. It already was a beautiful game, but it loads super fast, and it's so fluid and so beautiful, and all of the HDR that they've augmented on the Series X kicks in on this thing. And I was like, I was just shocked at how gorgeous it was. It's my favorite first-person shooter of all time, to be frank. You get to jump into these giant robots. Titanfall 2 is a masterpiece. Number 4, I would say The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, which is backwards compatible, and I think CD Projekt Red, if they haven't already, are doing some enhancements to this game if you're going to get it on Series X. Don't know about Series S as well, but you know what? It's still one of the best-looking games of the last decade. It's so, it's just filled with content. There's a maturity about it. Clearly, there's a hit TV show based on the thing. There is a lot of meat in with The Witcher 3. You're going to love that game, and whoever gets it will too. The same can be said for the Xbox 360 version of Red Dead Redemption. I had Red Dead Redemption 2 on the list, but I realized that I love this game more. I think this game is it's perfect, and this is a 720p video here, so it doesn't highlight what it looks like on a Series X or a One X. It looks incredible. On the Series X, of course, all the HDR kicks in, and it's so crisp and so clean. So backwards compatible juggernaut. It's amazing. And speaking of backwards compatibility, Rare Replay is one of the best singular game deals out there because it has 30 different games that Rare made from all eras. So you're going way back to the NES days. There's arcade games on here. There's Xbox 360 titles, and all of them have value. All of them have a quirky kind of sense of humor, and it's like a history lesson as well. You get to dive deep into all of the sort of creative genius that Rare supplied. And the other one is Halo Master Chief Collection, which I know has had some problems. They've had some issues with updates and balancing with multiplayer and everything, but you cannot deny the amount of value in here, and also the up-res and the sort of the remastering that Microsoft and 343 have put into these classic Halo adventures and experiences. So much fun to re-experience. I did check some of this out on the Series X, and the games are gorgeous still, and they're tremendously enjoyable to play. They're dated for sure, and first-person shooters have kind of evolved, no pun intended, in lots of different ways, but Halo Master Chief Collection is hard to refute. It is a super great pickup for Xbox players out there. But again, it's part of Game Pass. So if you get them that Game Pass subscription, they're going to be able to jump in and play those games right away. All right, now I've also created a more current list of 10 different titles that came out in 2020. A lot of these games you can also play on other platforms, and I don't think there really are any exclusives in this list, except for what Microsoft has published. But Microsoft is also publishing on other platforms now. It's all getting very confusing. But these are 10 great games that you can play on Xbox platforms. And number 10 is actually Gears of War Tactics is a terrific game. I played this on PC with an Xbox controller, so it was very close to playing it on an Xbox. It's been enhanced for the Xbox Series X. It's a great tactical turn-based strategy experience, and there's always been an element of strategy in Gears of War with its sort of cover shooter mechanics and its flanking mechanics translates very well to a tactical shooter or a tactical strategy game. That is a blast of a title. We were looking at this just yesterday. This is Yakuza Like a Dragon, which is an RPG. It's not a sort of a brawler fused with a bunch of crazy minigames. The minigames are here, and also the old classic Sega arcade games are here. The sense of humor is here. The wackiness, the people dancing in diapers and underwear and stuff. But it's just a really, really fun game. Yakuza Like a Dragon rocks. So does Mafia Definitive Edition. I was playing this earlier. I reviewed it earlier this year. I love this freaking game. It's definitely not the most current of the open world action adventure titles out there. It's been surpassed by several other open world games, but there is this quality to this game that just really draws me in. This 30s aesthetic, this crime caper, the storytelling. Wonderful game with great enhancements. It's a beautiful, beautiful title. Number 7 is Watch Dogs Legion, and I think the thing that I enjoyed the most about this game is that it feels like a true toy box. You can take control of tons of different characters. Basically, the city of London is your oyster. I think that's the phrase. You could just go in and be anybody, and so you can do all of these missions from a bunch of different perspectives, and it really gives it a toy-like sandbox quality that is incredibly engaging and addictive. Very well-made game. Super fun. Number 6 for me is Streets of Rage 4, which is also awesome whether you play it on PlayStation, PC, or Switch. This is a wonderful hand-drawn homage to the classic Sega, brawlers for the Genesis, and it evokes a lot of the sort of aesthetic as well from those classic days because you have these retro versions of these characters in there. But the mechanics are fun. The super moves are a blast to pull off, and it's a great cooperative experience as well. You could also get into competitive matches there too. And speaking of competitive, Doom Eternal was one of the most thrilling games of the year. There is a pretty cool story in here, and there's lots of embellishment in the Doom lore and lots of characters that you interact with. But this is primarily what you do in the game. You just blast at demons in the face, and you stab them, and you shoot them, and you cut their heads off, and you are merciless, and boy, is it fun. Doom Eternal rocks. Also, I would say that about Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2, which feels a little bit more at home for me on a PlayStation platform, because that's, I think, how we were introduced to Tony Hawk games originally. But it's, no discounting that it's an excellent fit as well on the Xbox platforms. Super fast, super fluid, all kinds of great pros in there, and one of the best soundtracks ever put together for any video game. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2 is awesome. And number 3 for me is NBA 2K21. I'm talking about the next-gen version kind of specifically here, so you need the Xbox Series X to really get the most out of this game. But it is absolutely stunning. Beautiful, beautiful facial animations, and of course the sweat mechanics and physics that they always have in there. There's real true emotion that you get to see as plays are happening in real time. It really takes you into the passion of basketball, which is why I love that game so much. But the traditional 2K21 is really good as well. This is Ori and the Will of the Wisps, and this is a staggeringly beautiful Metroidvania kind of title. It's a sequel to the first Ori and I think The Blind Forest. Both incredible, beautiful games. Both have been enhanced actually for the Xbox Series platforms, I think for Series S and X. And stunning music, stunning environments, gorgeous games. And I say that as well about Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which Xbox came in on the marketing for. They partnered with Ubisoft because they kind of lost their huge exclusive with Halo. So if you've seen Assassin's Creed Valhalla being advertised in a lot of places, you've seen that Xbox logo pop up, and it's really kind of been tied to it. I've seen some of the tearing that Digital Foundry has been talking about, and it's kind of disconcerting, but I know Ubisoft will patch it. That doesn't discount how gorgeous this game is or addictive it is. The loops are fun, the exploration is crazy cool, and the storytelling is so well embellished and so tuned. It's an essential pickup for sure. A wonderful, wonderful, wonderful game. And I think it's one of the biggest hits that Ubisoft has had in the Assassin's Creed franchise. And I think it's justified. It's an awesome pickup. So there you go. 10 games that came out from 2020. I would love to hear in the comments below or in the chat right now some games that you think would be, an equally good fit on Xbox platforms. And also 5 essential titles. And I know you've got some other ideas in there. So let me know. Let me have it. All the other ideas that you have. But happy shopping this holiday. And I hope the Xbox players in your life are very happy with whatever you pick up for them.